G'day, my name is Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of the 2024 Olympics, I'm talking to Mr. Jayden Lawrence. Jayden, thank you very much for the time. How are you today?
Very good. Thanks for having me. I'm great.
Ab- Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. Sorry, I immediately cut you off there. Great start to the interview.
All good.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm great. Feeling well. We're actually having a rest day today, so the body's feeling pretty good today. But tomorrow might be a different story.
I can imagine. When do you get to rest? I imagine it's few and far between. How often do you get to have a day like this?
Well, depends on the workload of the week. If it's a really hard workload, in 1 week, you might have like the Saturday and Sunday, like part of the Saturday and Sunday off. But if it's a lighter week, you'll probably be training up until the Sunday, and then obviously having Sunday days off as well. So it goes in waves on the intensity level.
How is this week? Is this week a heavy week or a light week?
It's a light week this week. Yeah, last week was probably the hardest I've ever trained in my life, to be honest. It was a killer week. They were warning me for weeks about this 1 week. It's a killer week, and yeah, they weren't wrong.
Was was it just circled on the calendar? It's just like, oh, bad week.
yeah, that week. You don't want to be the person left behind in that week.
I can imagine. You are coming to me live right now from beautiful Kyrgyzstan. I said
Yeah,
that correctly? Okay, good. I worried I messed it
yeah,
up.
Kyrgyzstan. Yeah.
Uh, how is Kyrgyzstan?
It's a beautiful country, and the people are amazing here. Great wrestlers, very friendly, but the mountains here are crazy cool. It's it's like almost being like in Switzerland. It's great.
From what I know of it, wrestling's a sport that can take you to some crazy places. You know, it's big in America, but it's also big in countries not a lot of people know about, like Kyrgyzstan. Is this your first time in Kyrgyzstan?
Yeah, so we're jumping back and forth from Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. Really good wrestlers there. So yeah, it's I haven't been here before prior to this camp, but I'll certainly put it on my to-do list again later on in life because it's beautiful here.
Maybe get a chance to go for pleasure, not business.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Get to sightsee a bit.
How did the Kyrgyzstan trip come to be? Was it whose idea was it to send you over there?
Well, head coach Andre, he's the head of performance and everything. He's got really good ties in with Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, and set all those camp up, and it's been absolutely a treat. It's been great.
Just before the interview started, you were letting me know because of the time difference, it's lunchtime for you. How was lunch and
Yeah,
what did you have?
yeah. So today was a bit different. We had horse meat today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this part of the world they love their horse, so we had some of that today. Um, and then just the normal veggies and stuff. But last night was a big feast. We had a whole sheep for the wrestling team, and rice. They're treating us well over here. It's great.
How is horse?
It honestly, it tastes great. It tastes like almost like cow, but a little bit different. Yeah, it tastes a bit like beef.
Oh, okay. So it's not too far. Could you trick yourself? If you didn't know, would you be able to
Yeah,
know it
yeah,
was
yeah,
off?
yeah. Like at the start, they didn't tell me it was horse, and then they said, "Oh, that's horse meat." I was like, "Oh, okay, it tastes like beef." But it's a big delicacy here. They love it here. Yeah.
Is it something that may follow you back home to Australia? I don't know if you'll be able to get
I
horse
don't
meat.
think I don't think you'll be able to find it, to be honest.
Through a search on your social media, I saw, I believe it might have been yesterday, it might have been today. You went for a hike through the mountains today.
Yeah, yesterday I because my knees are pretty ordinary, and the team was is like a semi off day, but like still active, and they played soccer. So I was like, oh, I might give soccer a rest, and I might go climb a mountain for 5 hours instead.
I was listening to some interviews before this. You used to play soccer before you were wrestling, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
So you're
I
like,
really early in my career, well, not really, I wouldn't say career. When I was younger, I played soccer just before I wrestled.
I've had enough wrestling for one lifetime. I'd rather climb a mountain.
Yeah, that's right.
This may shock you, Jayden. I have never climbed a mountain. Uh, what I know, a part of the benefit of training where you are is the altitude. And I saw the altitude that you posted on that hike was like nearly 4Ks up.
Yeah,
What is
it
that like?
it was starting to hard to like every step was getting harder and harder. I know it was only 3,600, but it was basically a climbing on my hands and knees towards the end of it because up the top of the peak of the mountain it starts getting real rocky. So it was getting a bit harder to breathe each time, each step I was taking, I guess.
What is that like where you're walking and is it just like you start getting lightheaded?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's like, oh, a little bit lightheaded. Oh, have a bit of a break, have a bit of a drink. Let's keep going. But yeah,
You get any oxygen? Like, do you get the tank with you?
nah, no, it's not that high where you need oxygen, but yeah, you can start to feel the air a lot thinner than it is lower levels.
What is we are obviously ahead of the Olympics. What
Yeah,
is this time kind of like for you? How are you feeling? We're just under, I believe, a month for the wrestling portion. How
yeah.
are you feeling at this point?
Well, that's why we're here in the altitude because it's like your base mark. So you try and get that fitness level to a certain peak, and then so basically, in actually another 2 days, we're going head into a lot of match sessions. So it's a lot of a lot of hard work in let's say a week and 2 weeks prior to the games, and then it starts to temper off. That way, you're not too sore for the competition. But this is an important week. Last 2 weeks to get that base level of fitness.
Do you know what the like regular altitude of the training room is?
Yeah, so where we're staying is 2,500 meters, and we're training around the 2,600 meters each time through this camp. Mat sessions, I think they were at the mat sessions were at 2,000 meters, I think. So even the mat sessions were quite high, but nowhere near as bad as it is up further.
Then in comparison, do you know what Paris is?
No, I haven't checked. I haven't checked, but it'll be much, much, much lower.
Probably not as high as the mountains of Kyrgyzstan. That's a safe bet to make.
Yeah,
But not just obviously we're in this build up, we're in this intense, we're getting ready. But when you hear the phrase Jayden Lawrence, Olympian, like
yeah.
what
It's a
is
good
that?
feeling. It's
I
a
can
good feeling.
imagine.
20 years in the work, I guess you could say as well. It's been a long time trying to strive for that title, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's been a dream come true, to be honest.
Was that always the goal?
Well, obviously the goal is like to medal at the Olympics. Uh, one stage before that is obviously making the Olympics because you can't get a medal at the Olympics without making the Olympics. But it's a huge step forward and definitely one of my highlights of my career so far for sure.
When you, as I mentioned before, I've been listening to some other interviews about yourself. You and your cousin got into wrestling. How old were you when you first stepped onto the mats?
I was 9 years old back in 2004 in Cabramatta PCYC. That's where it all started. Yeah.
So we talked about that it being the goal. When you stepped on, I'm assuming at 9, maybe the goal wasn't
Yeah.
go to the
Honestly,
Olympics.
as soon as I found out it was an Olympic sport, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the goal. That's the goal to make the Olympics and medal. Yeah.
Just that easy. Just go all in.
Yeah. That's it.
At
And
what
ever since then, it's been full steam ahead.
at what point did it begin to be like, all right, we can really do this, we can make this run?
Really, like, as in my career started early. Like, we started traveling overseas real early. In 2006 was our first overseas travel to compete. Um, and I was what was I 19, 11 years old. Started traveling overseas to compete overseas. So it's from straight away. It was a big, let's say, progress and sacrifices to get where I am now.
That
Yeah.
talking about that, you have to travel. Wrestling, from my perspective at least, it's a sport where you kind of do have to go and travel around because it may be not as developed in Australia. In
Yeah, we with all the talent that's overseas, it's some like it's in this country here, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, where it's their number one sport, right? So everyone everyone does it. Everyone think like if you're the number one wrestler, you're a superstar here. So it's a bit hard to gauge when wrestlers in Australia aren't as it's not as popular. So it's a bit harder to get as good if you just stay in Australia. So you'd have to travel to get to a certain level.
In that 20 years, you said, right? It's been 20 years since you first stepped
Yeah,
onto the mat. In that
yeah.
20 years, how have you seen the wrestling scene in Australia develop?
Well, it goes up. It's funny. It's been like a roller coaster. Sometimes it'll peak, it'll start to peak, and then we'll go back down again with the levels of and quality of the wrestlers. At the moment, it's starting to get quite high again, and that's thanks to all the people involved, like Andrew Cantley and Andre and everybody that's being involved. It's trying to improve the wrestling game, and it's the best I've seen it so far now.
Talking about it being the best you've seen so far, you also mentioned that yesterday may have been the hardest day of training, or was it last week?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Last week
Sorry.
was a killer.
Last week was maybe the hardest week of training you've done so far. And then for those who don't know, this is your first Olympics that you've qualified for. You've tried before, but you
Yeah,
qualified at this Olympics. You medaled at the last Commonwealth Games.
yeah,
Are you getting better?
yeah. I know it's a cliche thing, but I actually truly think I am. On performance wise, it's showing as well. But also, I'm feeling like I'm hitting a really good peak. It's the best I've ever felt ever in my career. And the results is showing that, and also the belief. I really that's the biggest thing I think. The belief of being up there with the top guys and top wrestlers.
What do you think that is? Is it the type of training you're getting? Is it a mental thing? Like, what do you think that is?
I think it's this time around. I think it's big time mental, where it's like not heading towards my end of the career kind of mentality. It's like you put on that work, you put all that training in. It's time to show it type of stuff. Um, and yeah, and the training back home, even when I'm in Australia, the constant training I have been going with the Cannon Valley wrestling boys like with Rob Whittaker and Jacob Marcoon and Izzy Docs. They're amazing training partners, and that's what's kind of rise my career as well.
As I just mentioned, medaling at the last Commonwealth Games. Uh, Obviously, we haven't gone through the Olympics yet, so not a one-to-one to that. But pre-feelings, how was a month out from the Commonwealth Games compare now to be a month out from the Olympics?
Well, last time in Commonwealth Games we were at Poland, so similar type of feeling, but I guess not as confident as I am now because I have the experience, more experience now than I did back then too. But back last year, versing one of the best in the world in the Hassan Yazdani, I ended up scoring him and having a really quite good close match with him, and that really boosted my confidence. So, and that's after being Commonwealth Games and everything. So my confidence level has just been getting higher and higher. So that's what I'm taking on to board with this Olympics.
You kind of did touch on it just there, but having that, medaling at the Commonwealth Games, then after that, riding that wave into that, how kind of validating is that for you as an athlete?
Well, it's like it's a good feeling that all that work is starting to come ahead. Like I was just we were saying, 20 years of hard work, and then the early in the years, I wasn't getting the results that I am now. Putting the work in, but then go back to Matt, start again, try and improve what you're doing. Um, for now to come ahead of where it is now, it's really satisfying. Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I don't remember if it was quite a month, I spoke to Robert Whittaker. And during that interview with him, I talked about yourself and you going to the Olympics. And I asked him about the feeling when he's wrestling with you and he knows he's kind of getting you ready for the Olympics.
Yeah.
And he talked about it like he tries not to think about the stakes. For yourself, how are you like it is the Olympics, but you want to keep kind of locked in. How are you
Oh, level
approaching
headed.
this?
Yeah. like going to another competition, I guess, but with more like emphasis. Okay, let's really put the extra mile into it. Let's really train super hard for it. But the mentality is the same. It's if you, I guess, if you change it up a little bit, it might not go your way. So if my mentality, which is it's been really good so far, if I keep it true, I'm going to be going having a good old red crack at it.
And that's all we can ask for you to do.
Yeah,
Talking about mentality and keeping things the same, doing a little bit of research, I found something where you wrote that a ritual before matches is you wear inside out socks.
yeah, yeah. As a almost like a good luck type of charm. I've been doing that since I was well, since I was nine, really. When I was wrestling, yeah.
So you mentioned it was since you were 9. Where did that start? Was there a reason why you started doing that?
I think at the start it was like, oh, I feel like it's uncomfortable wearing it the normal way, I guess you could say. So now I wear it inside out, and it just gives me that like mentality thing. Okay, let's go.
Is that as in inside out socks in the wrestling boots?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna remember that when I watch you wrestle. I'm gonna be like, his socks are inside out right now.
yeah,
uh Through some other things I've seen. Thus, if anyone's seen your Instagram or anything, not just an Olympian, also, I believe a husband, a father,
yeah, yeah.
a
Partner
son.
Mel, and then yeah, I
Um,
got a girl Robbie, a girl Evelyn. She's 8 years old. A boy Robbie, he's 6 years old, and they're going over to Paris as well. They can't wait.
that was going to be my next question. Are you going to get a chance to see the family while you're over?
Yeah, so I'm going to go over for a short period of time for the opening ceremony. So I'm going to be seeing them in that period of time. But then I come back to Kyrgyzstan to have the final touches, and then go back to Paris again. And but yeah, they'll be staying the whole time there in Paris, and they can't wait.
Will because some I know I interview a lot of combat sports athletes. Some people are totally fine and can switch it on. Some people need to separate themselves. Are you going to get a chance to see them before you compete, or are you going to be like, I'll talk to you
Yeah,
afterwards?
yeah, because I've been away from them quite a while now. Because this camp started in May, so it's been quite a big camp. So it'll be good to see him just before, like it was in leading up to it as well, to get my head right as well. We definitely have a few lunches together.
I can imagine. That was going to be my next question. I wanted to ask how long you've been away and how often do you get a chance to talk to them?
Well, we try and get because of the time difference. Sometimes it's a bit hard, but we try and get video calls with the kids and all that as much as we can. But it is hard sometimes for the kids as well if we constantly video call because they get a bit upset sometimes because they miss us and stuff. So, um, but sometimes the kids will be like, "I want to talk to dad" and everything, so they'll give us a call. But yeah, it's a good morale boost, I guess you could say, when they do call.
Got the motivator, you've got them like the Polaroid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, one of the biggest reasons why I qualified was thinking of my son's had a lot of health issues and everything for his life, and I've always had in the back of my mind, and it helped me qualify, I guess you could say. Thinking of what he's gone through with everything as well, and I wanted to show him my appreciation, kind of stuff.
If I can
Yeah.
ask, what kind of things has he been dealing with?
Well, it was from birth. Back in Commonwealth Games in 2018, I was actually preparing to go to the opening ceremony, and then he was born really premature. And the doctors were saying, "Oh, he might not make it," and everything. So I flew back down to Sydney, and the whole week of his birth, he kept collapsing his lung back and forth, and the doctors reassured us, "Oh, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it." So that was a big, let's say, mental thing to overcome. But ever since then, he's been improving himself each time. So he's got cerebral palsy at the moment. Well, he's got cerebral palsy. Not at the moment. He will always have it. But he overcomes every obstacle he comes to, which is amazing. Like he's got a bit of hearing loss in it as well. So he's it just keeps overcoming everything. He's at school at the moment, loving it, learning. His favorite subject is maths. Yeah, so he's he's uh he's doing so great. Yeah, it's good to see.
Lawrences seem to be a family of fighters.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on our crest, it's what it means is never give in. So it's living up to the name, I guess.
Absolutely. How if he's doing well in school, he's doing well in maths?
Yeah, well, he's in kindergarten, so but his favorite subject is maths because he just loves counting and adding up. Yeah.
I won't necessarily take you all the way back to your time in kindergarten, but how did you do in school?
Not very good at all. As I said, I started and going overseas when I was 11. But not great at all. Even though that was a good time in my life, obviously, like every kid is. But I was not the best at school. No,
Anyone had a problem with it, you could just double leg them.
that's right.
Talking about opening ceremonies and that type of stuff. You've mentioned you're going to fly in for the opening ceremony, but there was an event when I first found out that you had qualified. I'm not sure what the event was. It might have been just a wrestling event, but it was you. You were on wrestling mats with a bunch of people. Everyone was wearing the same shirt. Does that ring any bell?
Oh, so yeah, that's when you've qualified. Yeah, so all the different weights that qualified through the African Oceania Championships in Egypt earlier this year in March. So what they did was whoever qualified, they gave them a shirt and a banner, and they took some photos at the on the mats. Yeah, that was a great moment as well. That was
So
cool.
you had wrestled that day.
Oh yeah, literally like it was half an hour before I wrestled. So yeah.
What is that moment like? Because obviously you win and you know you're going to make it, but then you get like they give you the shirt and you're like, oh my God, it's real.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't, it was a disbelief for ages up until I started like seeing get into the zone. Okay, now we're going Olympics. Let's train for it. That whole lead up was like didn't feel real because of all the times I've, let's say, tried to go to the Olympics and failed, um, and finally making it. It was yeah, surreal. Great.
As you talking about that, as you mentioned earlier, being an Olympian, A, super cool. But
Yeah,
B, it is not the ultimate goal. There is still kind
yeah,
of that work to be done. What is that like? Because it's like you have achieved something that no one, very few other people will. But you also know you're
yeah.
like, and now it's going to get really hard.
Well, that's right. That was only the start of it. Now that's the what we've been doing the last, let's say, few months, and what's left is the hard work. Is to try and get it over that level and over that line to try and medal at the Olympics. It's a huge, steep goal that we're trying to achieve, but I believe in myself.
Just before we were talking about training, when you're back home, you get a chance to train at Smeaton Grange. What's it like being in that room? You mentioned some of the guys you train with. How like you're an Olympic wrestler. How do they compare?
Yeah, well, they're great wrestlers. They really are. And that's what I was saying before. I think that's why my level's gone up a stage as well. Prior to all the other Olympic um, chances I've had, is I think that was one of the biggest changes as well. Is training with they're monsters. They really are. They're absolute. They're so dedicated to training and it's really good to train with them and help me out and help them out. It's a great environment to be in.
How like I'm gonna throw three names out. You've got Robert
Yeah,
Whittaker, Izzy Fitikefu, and Jacob Malkoon. All names that people know through their MMA fighting. How does it compare when you're wrestling with an MMA guy compared with a straight wrestler?
well, well, when we wrestle at the club, it's we're wrestling. Then I'll jump into their sessions with the jiu-jitsu as well, and then we're wrestling. We're doing jiu-jitsu, and then MMA classes we're doing MMA. So when we're wrestling, we're wrestling. When we're doing jiu-jitsu, we're doing jiu-jitsu. When we're doing MMA, we've got to put on the gloves and do some MMA. But that's what we Coach Alex Pratt's. He is great at organising the whole team and a great mentor. He really sets the training schedule up really well.
How do you do at Jits?
I'm not too well. I haven't competed, so I can't say I do well. But I hold my own. I'm not too shabby at it, I guess. But maybe in the future on, I'll dabble into it a bit
Go down that path.
after the Olympic run.
Are you
Yeah,
a gi guy or a no gi guy?
I do both at the gym. I put the gi on as well, but I haven't previously because I was obviously trying to make the Olympics, so I was focusing on the wrestling. But once that's all over, I'll put the gi back on. But when we're doing our sessions at the Smeaton Grange with the fight team and everything, it's mainly no gi. But I'll certainly jump into classes as well after
I hate to
the
make
Olympics.
a lazy assumption, but I assume you would prefer the no gi over the gi.
I don't mind both, to be honest, because some of the guys are saying I do better at the gi than the no gi. But either or, to be honest, I don't mind.
If I can ask, what belts do you hold in jiu-jitsu?
Blue, blue at the moment.
Scariest blue belt in the world. Me showing up to the blue belt competition, going up the against the Olympic wrestler. That's dirty. How come you're only blue belt? That doesn't seem fair. Look, I'm asking. Explain
Yeah,
yourself. That's not
maybe
fair.
we'll get an upgrade when we come back. Might get an upgrade when I get back. Who knows?
Yeah, for real. Come back with an Olympic medal and you finally get the purple belt. You talked about jumping in with all different classes. Um how do you feel about MMA? Was MMA ever something that you were interested in?
Well, I never wanted to get punched in the face. And at the start, when I was training with the boys at Smeaton Grange, but then I'll jump into some of the sessions, and then Rob would put the gloves on, and I wouldn't, and then he would like give me a sneaky little punch here and there, and like I said, he's not that bad. But then from then, I got my confidence up with it, and then I started jumping into the classes, and yeah, now I kind of love it. So it's been pretty good.
Is that something you would ever look to go through? Would you
Yeah,
want to have it?
possibly. Yeah, definitely, possibly. That's like I've been training with it a couple of years now, but with the boys, but it's certainly fun to do. So definitely something to look forward to after the Olympics.
I was gonna say I don't mean to ask about things that aren't the goal that's straight ahead, the
That's right.
Olympics.
That's what I was like. Is like that's after first goals in the Olympics, trying to
Of
medal.
course. You are
Yeah,
one of two men representing Australia in the Olympics.
yeah,
The wrestling scene from the general combat sports scene is pretty small, and I have to imagine
yeah.
within the country the wrestling scene is small. Although I know he's not in your weight. How like do you know Georgie particularly well?
Yeah. Since so he was helping the Australian teams for a while. Back in 2018 at the Commonwealth Games, he was helping the team prepare and obviously training and trying to get his citizenship at the time. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's got a lot of talent as well. So I was looking forward to him to try and medal as well. Be it's gonna be good. He's a 65 kilo, yeah.
Just before this, I was looking through the schedule and such, and I was trying to work out when everything is. So, if all goes well, you'll be wrestling for 2 days.
Yes. So on the August the 8th, and then all goes well, August the 9th as well.
How is that? Because I have to imagine that having that cool down period of a day cannot be very good.
Yeah, sometimes like luckily for the Commonwealth Games it wasn't because I hurt myself and everything and if it was the next day I would have been toast. But this day and age now it's 2 days with big competitions. So you have to weigh in for the first day, compete, make it to the finals, and then the following day weigh in again, and then go to the finals. Yeah, it's hard. The 2 day competition is quite hard because the first day you have more matches, and sometimes you're battered and bruised from it. So it takes a special human being to back it up twice.
I think you might be that special human being, though.
Yeah, Yeah.
So it is, I guess it's both for the recovery and for the weight. Uh, the theory is do it and then like immediately after you're done, jump in the sauna and like the spa to just like warm everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, really after like if you're doing two match days back to back for that, it's really once you've done your matches, go to sleep and prepare yourself for the next day. But for saunas and ice baths, it's really pre camp stuff. So we do a lot of like even here we do every second day we do a sauna. So it's like preparing your body for the competition.
We were talking about eating at the top of this. We were talking about lunch. I know some people don't like to eat on competition days. How are you with that? Do you like to, can you eat before a comp?
Not too much, but yeah, I do. I'll have a bit because weigh-ins are, normally in the morning, and then you got 2 hours until you step on the mat again. So you can't gorge yourself. So that's why the weight cuts now. Not many people cut as big weight as they used to. So like myself, I'm only cutting 2 kilos, so it's not much at all. But yeah, you can't really gorge yourself and wait for 12 hours. You got 2 hours until you wrestle.
What is the snack of choice after weigh-in?
Obviously eggs. Yeah, some carbs maybe as well. But eggs are a big one, and bananas, I guess.
I was
But
going to
yeah,
ask about banana. A lot of people say banana.
yeah. It's a good thing to keep you going for the day for sure.
Bit of a superfood, if I believe the
Yeah,
ads.
that's it. That's it for athletes. Super food.
You mentioned that you're flying in for the opening ceremony and then flying back. When do you leave to get to the opening ceremony?
25th, I leave, and then getting there the 25th morning. I leave from Kyrgyzstan, and then get there on the afternoon on the 25th, the kayak 7th. So the opening ceremony is on the 26th. Quick
Okay,
say
so
hello to family, and then go back again.
it won't be red eye to the place walking out. Ah,
No,
I'm so tired.
no. Nah, nah. Have a bit of a rest and have a sleep and
And
go
then
again.
how far out from the 8th will you be there?
So we arrived there on the 3rd, I'm pretty sure, the 3rd of August, and then do the final preparations there until the 8th.
And then it all goes well. You get a chance to reunite with the family after the Olympics. You've been gone for so long. Is it just immediately come home, or are you going to get a chance to hang out in Paris?
Now we got a bit of a holiday. We're going to Switzerland and then Rome. There's a Disneyland in Paris as well. We're going to go to Disneyland with the kids. So they wanted to go there. So why not?
Fantastic. Jayden, I thank you
Yeah.
so much for the time. I greatly appreciate it. I know it's a hectic schedule. Best of luck in the Olympics. Safe travels there. I hope you enjoy your holiday afterwards. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah. All good. Thank you.